I'm checking to see how accurate my predictions were in my video I made last year. I'll be reviewing what happened this year to check to see if my predictions are any good, and then I'll be making predictions for 2022. Wish me luck. Somewhere in there I'll be giving away some paper and also some Godzilla stuff. Last year I said, as far as sparkle inks, that inks that were made for glass pens, the sparkle would just get crazy. And they did. This box you see here is glitter ink made by Stationery, and it has glue in it. And yeah, I said glue. This ink, of course, is only for dip pens or glass pens, though it will work in a fountain pen for about 1 hour. And the reason the glue is in there is when you write with glitter ink, lots of times the glitter comes off, but this is stuck on really good. It has strong glitter and it stays on. So I would say I got this part of the prediction right. Then I said fountain pen inks would be less sparkly and more luminescent. Wrong. Edelstein's Golden Barrel was such a huge hit, and the sparkle just kept coming from all the different ink companies. I think I underestimated the power of sparkle. So my prediction for 2022 is sparkle is going to continue coming on strong. I think sparkle is not a flash in the pan, but it's here for the long term. These pictures are from Silver Moon 0914's Twitter account, and I'll talk about her some more later. As far as really sparkly pens, I said that it would tone down a little bit, and I'm not really sure how to call that. So I'm going to call it a partial win. This is Bungu Box's Silent Night, and it sold out very quickly. And it's hard to tell from this picture, but it has a kind of toned down sparkle where it doesn't show up in the picture a lot. But when you get it out in the sun or something, you can pick up a little silver sparkle in it. But then there's this. This is Esther Brooks' collaboration with Accutron, and this material is diamond cast. It's got gold on green. It's beautiful and very sparkly. I love it. I'd like to thank my very generous pen friend. It was gifted to me by him, and it's my first Esterbrook. Being that it's my first Esterbrook, I didn't know that it has this spring inside cap to keep the nib fresh. This is really important to me, and I really dislike hard starts and dried up pens. And as you can see here, when you put the pen back into the cap, you need to kind of push it in and then turn it, and that makes a really tight seal over the nib. Then there's this pen, which is Starry Night, and it's made by the same company as that other completely glittery pen. And this one has blue glitter, but it's only on the cap. So I'm giving myself a partial. It did kind of tone down a little bit, but I think sparkle is definitely here to stay. And then I said we'd see an increase of other kinds of sparkle, and what I meant by that is not exactly glitter, but things that make a pen shiny or more unicorn-like. And this is the TWSBI Iris, and I showed that pen and said there would be more things like this. Yeah, I think I got that one right. Goulet Pens put out a video called What Were the Hottest Pens of 2021? And in it, Drew said that 2021 was a year of the rainbow, especially for Conklin and Monteverde. And then I said as pushback with all the sparkle, glitter, and rainbow stuff, we'd have more stealth pens. And their number one pen was a Sailor Pro Gear Stealth Green. And it's a beautiful pen with like this really kind of pretty blue end cap and finial and darkened down trim. So for 2022, I'm going to predict we're still going to get more either sparkly or unicorn or pink or shiny kind of pens. I think that's going to be here to stay. And then again, as pushback, I think we're going to have more plain pens instead of stealth pens. This is Schon Design's Peak pen, and it's made out of an engineered plastic called Peak. It's a very plain pen. It was difficult to film, so I needed to take a picture for the video. But it's a rugged, awesome pen. I've thrown it off the table several times and it works just great. Though maybe not as rugged as this pen, I think we will see pens that kind of counter the unicorn pens. And then I said that Chromoshaders would go gangbusters this year, and I nailed that one. Sailor came out with a whole line of Chromoshaders called Yurameku. I included it with my new Iroshizuku inks video, and I'll link to it in the upper right hand corner here. Vanyantan put out some inks, and a company called Collection Trace from China makes Chromoshading inks. This is Sanshui, this is Baicha, and this is Yunyan. I'm going to stick with Chromoshading gangbusters for 2022. I said that 2021 would be the year of the paper, and it was. And I think it was driven mainly by the instability of Tomoe River. Traveler's Notebook put out their B-sides. There were several kinds of onion skin paper journals. And something called B7 Tranix became a favorite of the paper hunter, otherwise known as Fudafan. Fudafan has a blog post about the trends that happened this year in Japan. I'll put a link to it since I got a lot of my information from there, and a lot of my pictures are from the glamour pen photographer Jacob from Fudafan. Irofu was put out by Sakaya Paper, and it has a lot of similarity to CAL paper. And CY of Tokyo Station Pens will tell you he doesn't like it. He thinks it feels hairy or something like that. And then the really big news is that Tomoe River paper was sold to Sanzen. I got a hold of some samples and did a video review on it, and I'll link it up in the right hand corner. As of a couple weeks ago, according to CY, they were still taking some feedback on the paper itself. So no one has the Sanzen successor Tomoe River paper right now. So if someone's telling you it's the new Tomoe River paper, it's not the one that's now being made by the Sanzen company. Hopefully we'll be able to see some soon. And Kokuyo came out with Perpanep, Zara Zara or textured for fountain pens, Sara Sara or smooth for ballpoints, and Tsuru Tsuru or extra smooth for fine liners. So my first giveaway will be this set of 3 notebooks and the 3 corresponding writing utensils that go with it. I'll give instructions later on how to enter. A lot of ink cards came out this year, but the most interesting were these. They're great for lazy people like me or not talented at art. You just kind of spread the ink over the top of it and the design comes out. Here are some samples of it. So yeah, 2021 was the year of the paper, and I'm going to call it again for 2022 until Tomoe River finally starts to settle down. So we're going to see a lot of paper and paper changes in 2022. Last year I said color blocking would be big, and it's still around, but I don't think it ended up being as big as I thought it would. There was a lot of color blocking like in this pen, the Dandelion, but instead of being extreme, it was like 2 colors that complement each other like this, or maybe there were clear sections like either on the the finial or the end cap or the section itself. I think color blocking's here to stay, but maybe not the extreme forms of it. I also said that kind of ombre coloring would be big this year because of the success of pens like this and these pens, and of course these pictures are from Fudafan. And also because of the platinum Placer Venus belt was very, very popular. And at the end of 2021, we did get this wildly popular VP called the Bamboo Forest. But it seems mainly limited to the pilot VP, and maybe that's what the good guess is for next year, that the vanishing point will be in an ombre color. So I kind of struck out on that. I'm not going to make any predictions on this coloring. I said we'd see an explosion of stuff coming out of Taiwan, and I was just dead wrong. There is so many interesting shops and companies in Taiwan concerning stationery and fountain pens that I think we're right on the cusp of it. It just didn't happen this year. The main thing we got out of Taiwan was a new pen from TWSBI, the Swipe. But I'm going to double down and say that this coming year, 2022, we're going to see an explosion of stuff out of Taiwan and also Korea. Khue from Cat brought in a bunch of bottles of ink from Dominant Industry from Korea, and they were just really beautiful inks and some really beautiful bottles. So 2022, explosion of stuff out of Korea and Taiwan. Khue is somewhat of an ink savant. These are pictures of her ink log where she logs all of her different inks. But she's one of those people you can ask, like, hey, what is this ink? And then she's scrolling away through her phone and she'll pull up some picture from 1952 where she's like, it's this ink and it's from this company. She's kind of scary that way. Okay, let's move on to fresh predictions for 2022. I think a lot of ink makers are now moving to not only smaller bottles, but like little sets of small bottles and a kind of in between a full bottle and maybe a sample. Tag Stationery sells these seasonal sets of little tiny 5 milliliter bottles of ink. Here you can see it against a backdrop of a bottle of Ito Shizuku. Tono and Limbs sells this little pouch. Inside are these little bottles of ink. This set is called Adventure Set Starlight Volume 1. So I guess if you want to go on an adventure, you can take little bottles of ink with you. And these are 19 milliliter bottles from Collection Traced from China. And these are 10 milliliter bottles from Ostrich Ink. The desire to get the best price per milliliter of ink is now not so much of a player. People have so many inks now, they're not going to be able to finish it all, and you're actually saving money by buying a smaller bottle and spending less money. J. Urban has a collection of small bottles of their specialty ink, and Ferris Wheel Press has something called Chargers. They're a beautifully packaged set of 3 bottles of 5 milliliters of ink. So I'm going to call this for 2022. I think a lot more companies may be offering these smaller size bottles, and that'll give you a chance to get a greater variety of colors instead of a larger bottle of one ink. I think ink companies are going to continue pushing the boundary on ink. Last year I had an ink that I talked about that had iron filings inside of it. And then this year there was ink with glue inside of it. And then Dominant Industry has an ink that kind of almost turns metallic. And it's so weird that you can't even use a glass pen with it. You have to use a metal dip pen. And this ink stick and ink stone set is from Tag Stationery, and it's to make ink with. They kind of riffed on the classic Sumi ink. And by the very nature of making the ink in this little ink stone, it really only lends itself for like a brush or maybe like a glass pen. You could dip it inside the little pool there. But this allows you to mix inks, and here I'm using a blue stick and I'm trying to make some green ink. And of course I'm going to syringe some up and put it into a Pilot Kakuno. I washed it out after about 3 hours and it was fine. And here's my writing sample, the yellow on top, the green on the bottom, and the fountain pen writing sample in the middle. I thought it came out pretty nice and it was oddly satisfying to do. And next for 2022, I see a lot more specialized and focused marketing. These pictures are of kakimori and they're really smart. They have a theme where it's all kind of clean lines and elegant natural materials. These pictures are from their brochure when you order something. And their store also kind of sticks to this aesthetic. And you're thinking, well, Lisa, this is just normal marketing, but I think it's going to take on more of that marketing edge in the fountain pen world. Who's done this to great effect is Ferris Wheel Press. Their bottles are very recognizable. Their whole aesthetic is kind of an elegant steampunk look. And as a result, they've grown very rapidly and kind of taken over social media. And with this beautiful aesthetic, they've just taken Japan by storm. I understand, I think that basic Inku Numa, or the ladies that like ink, they understand their aesthetic. They want something elegant or pretty, bottles of ink that look like fingernail polish and are in beautiful bottles and beautiful boxes. These companies with well-defined aesthetics are really a boon to social media. My pen friend Klarissa has the beautiful account The Snowy Studio. It's an interesting and beautiful intersection of companies like Ferris Wheel Press, Galen Leather, and Esterbrook. Her beautiful pictures kind of evoke a lifestyle that I could only aspire to because I'm such a messy person. But I think we're going to see a lot more of this kind of focus from companies. Another company that has used their aesthetic to a powerful effect is Traveler's Notebook. Here is a cute, sweet, short video about My Life Mitts going to the Traveler's Factory in Nakameguro. You should check it out. It really gives you an insight into this company. Even smaller companies are using this to great effect. This pen is from the Stanford Wood Studio from their Impressionist series. I got it because I like the light color and that it holds a Yovo number 6 nib because I'm always changing out nibs. And they're very different in that they have these little beads embedded on the ends of the pen. I've just not seen this before and it kind of gives it a kind of homey little look. But the wrapping and the brochure stuck with the theme of the Impressionist series, and as I was unwrapping it, my daughter, who doesn't even do pens, said, hey, what is that? So for 2022, I expect to see a lot more of this targeted aesthetic. I'll post links to the Snowy Studio, My Life Mitts, and the Stanford Wood Studio. These beaded pens look pretty cool. And I think we're going to see in 2022 the market being shifted by a younger and more female population. This ink is Salon de Violet, a kind of purple. And it's a pretty ink, but the packaging is just on point. It almost has a Japanese Art Deco feel to it. It's made to mimic something from the Taisho era. This ink is called Haikara Inki, which is made by a company called Guitar. But if you go to their website, you'll see that it's actually Teranishi Chemical Industry. As near as I can make out, it looks like they make a lot of markers. And here you can see it's got a beautiful cap. And they added a tag to the bottle so you can do a color swatch on it. But if you look at their video explaining their ink, you see that they make the color swatches with both a brush and a glass pen with no fountain pen in sight. I was worried that I had picked up a glass pen only ink and had to look carefully at the box and then it says for fountain pens. So here's a chemical company totally catering to glass pen ladies. And Sailor opened a store called Ancora, and it is targeted toward the ladies that use glass pens and ladies in general. That's probably why you see Jacob and CY in the doorway. The inside is decorated with flowers and bottles, art supplies. They have a create your own custom fountain pen where you can select the different colors of the hardware of your pen and the color of the end cap, the finial, the barrel, and the cap. I just threw together a pink and blue one, but there were women that were standing around for like an hour just mulling over their different choices. This appears to be extremely popular. These next few pictures are from the Twitter account SilverMoon0914. Silver Moon is a friend of mine, and she's a young lady that dresses very fashionably and does her nails. And she really enjoys glass pens and swatching inks. She even swatches vintage inks. And I think companies like Teranishi Chemical Industry and Sailor are tailoring their products to her. So I think the year 2022 will kind of be the year of the young woman in the fountain pen community. Okay, let's get down to some Godzilla. I went to a Godzilla store and went nuts and got Godzilla notebooks, Godzilla socks, Godzilla hats, Godzilla aprons, and I thought I'd want to share some of that. This is my notebook. It's got Godzilla attacking a boat. It has a little bit of bleed through on heavy applications of ink and also glass pen usage. You can see a little bit on the back here, but it has some cool imprints on the inside pages. This is the one I got for the giveaway. It's Godzilla inside of Hokusai's print of the wave in Mount Fuji. And I also got a matching file folder of Hokusai's wave with Godzilla in it. I'll also throw in 2 packages of those colored ink cards that I showed earlier, and then these 2 stickers of Godzilla. So most of you know the drill. To enter, just go over to my Instagram account and put a comment on the most current photo that is about this video. I'll use a random comment picker to pick 2 winners, and then whoever contacts me first can pick between either the Godzilla package or the Perpanet package. And the winner for last video's promenade with a 14 karat gold nib is at Chatterjaprana. Please contact me on Instagram messages, and congratulations. Have a great 2022, and I'll leave you with a little bit more Godzilla.